Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Veena. How are you? Keeping on?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you. Uh, I have to apologize to you. I could not do your correction last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But today, after the lesson, I'm going to go through it. I saw it in outline. It looks very good. The presentation, um,
Mm-hmm.
underline and all that is very good. But I'll go into the substance this evening and I will
Right.
come back to you with my feedback on the whole thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, Kumar, I
Yeah,
just wanted to ask you a couple of things as well.
sure.
The next mock, the mock on target costing. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't know how do I apply product life cycle costing on it. Like I have written the half of the answer, but
Okay.
I don't know how to pen my thoughts on it.
Okay.
So I would need your guidance on it.
Yeah, sure. Uh, that is the mock part we discussed last time, no?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Basically, now what is target costing? Target costing, now normally, the pricing, there are, obviously there are two methods of pricing. One is
Right.
to look at your total cost and add up a
Uh-huh.
certain percentage as your profit, and then you
Right.
say this is your price.
Right.
Right? And that was the traditional way that most of the people did the costing. They will look at the cost, they want a certain profit, and they will add up that one and say this is the price of the film or the phone
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it may be. But
Right.
that cannot be applied in all cases. In most cases, when the market is very competitive. When the market is
Mm-hmm.
very competitive, the market sets up a price. You can't set a price. The market has decided for this particular sari, the price is so much.
Right.
Now you
Mm-hmm.
can't, just because your cost is very high, you can't put up a very high markup or a percentage profit and say this is my price, no one is going to buy your product.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So you have to set yourself with the market price. If the market price for the particular sari is 20,000, say, Indian rupees, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if that is the maximum price you can sell because the market is so
Mm-hmm.
competitive. So you have to
Right.
decide, okay, when you sell for 20,000, how much
Mm-hmm.
profit should I have? You work
Okay.
backwards.
Right.
You work backwards. And then you think, okay, I want a profit of 4,000. So then your
Mm-hmm.
target cost is 16,000.
Okay.
Right? Your target cost is 16,000. So you have to see whether you can do your product, the sari, at 16,000. If you
Okay.
can do it,
Right.
you will launch the product. If you cannot do, you will forget about it. Not that really you
Okay.
will forget about it. You will see, okay, if it is, say the cost is going to be 18,000, but your
Mm-hmm.
target is 16. So you must see whether there are areas where you can reduce the 2,000. So the tool what we use is something called value analysis.
Value analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will go through that particular sari again and see,
Mm-hmm.
can I do the sari making 2,000 less, but without compromising the quality of the sari, without compromising the usefulness of the sari to the lady.
Okay.
You work
Right.
backwards. And if it is so, you will do it. Right? So for the film
Okay.
industry, the same story. Films are very competitive because all, not only maintain, many people
Mm-hmm.
will produce this kind of films. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to see whether now if Dinosaur Crush Tree is something like something where the people will somehow see it, you may be able to put up your price, whatever the price. But generally,
Right.
the film's audience, there's a film audience, they are the people who decide, and there is a percentage of people who goes to watch the film. So the revenue is somewhat limited.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to work
Okay.
backwards to get your profit. Now, in the case what we did, what we saw was it's not a product or the film that we are going to launch. Already
Mm-hmm.
launched, half or 90% of the work done. Somewhere
Mm-hmm.
down we have a problem with certain actions, but now we
Mm-hmm.
want to keep the cost to 550 million, if I remember.
50.
right?
Yes.
Whereas
Yeah.
the revised cost structure says 571 or something like that.
Right.
So you have to see how you can reduce that 21 million. Now,
Okay.
what we saw was, okay, if we take it as the 21 million against 550, it's just about 3 point some percentage. But
3.6%.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not the point, because not that on every area we can reduce 3.6%, because most of the costs are incurred. The only
Right.
cost,
Yeah.
only two costs that is not yet incurred is that additional special effect 40 million, and
And
also
advertisement.
the advertising probably about 10% left over.
Right.
So we have
Right.
so we have to work backwards and see where we can reduce those costs, and is it possible?
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
So basically what I have done in my answer is that I have written, I mean, I have done the value analysis, but
Okay.
when you spoke about the product life cycle, wherein you
Okay.
said the product
Yeah.
would go with in production growth, how do I incorporate that in my case?
Yeah, now in this particular case, actually it will not arise. What I said was life cycle, any product will
Right.
go through 4 stages of the
Okay.
life cycle. First one, as
Right.
you introduce a product to the market, there is lot of
Right.
advertising, lot of
Mhm.
research that need to happen. So initially,
Mhm.
any product will be very, very costly to produce.
Right. Yeah.
Then after the introductory stage, then you reach what we call a growth stage.
Growth stage. Yeah.
Growth stage. Now in the film it will not happen like that, but in a normal product there will be a growth stage for the product. Product is being introduced, product is getting marketed very well. And also
Right.
you remember in your P2 time you would have learned something called learning curve, right?
Right. Yeah.
When you try to do more and more of the same thing, repeating, you learn, and
Yeah.
you learn that to do that very fast, right? Now, your ladies, you know, when if you are preparing cakes, the first time when you prepare the cake, it would have gone over baked, all that. But when you go on doing over and over and again, you can save your time. Saving time means
Right.
saving money.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So your labor cost can come down, and also when you are at the growth stage, your market is very big, you can buy your raw materials at certain discounted prices, and there's
Right.
what we call economies of scale.
Right. Yeah.
So during the growth stage, the cost per unit of production will come down,
Right. Yeah.
mainly due to the economies of scale, mainly due to the learning curve. Then we arrive at what we call the stable
Maturity
or the
stage.
maturity stage. Maturity stage, the
Right.
product is very matured now, and therefore
Mm-hmm.
hardly any cost savings, hardly
Mm-hmm.
any cost increases. It will be very stable. Basically, that's the period of
Right.
stabilization.
Right. Yeah.
Then any product after a particular life period, it will come to a decline. The people does not want the product, or product is getting
Mm-hmm.
outdated. Some new products have come to the market, and it will go
Mm-hmm.
to a decline stage. Now during that
Okay.
period, again the cost will go up. One reason the cost
Right.
will go up is the people who are manufacturing the product are no longer interested in
Mm-hmm.
manufacturing, because for them it's a very boring task. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
to learn anymore, and the efficiencies will come down.
Right.
Second reason, the machines are very old, and therefore
Yeah.
there will be many maintenance and repairs work, and it will come
Right.
down. Thirdly, maybe
Right.
you want to get rid of the product, you may have to do a little bit more promotional advertising, and again
Mhm.
the cost will go up. So during the
Right.
decline stage, the product cost can again go up.
Right.
So in a
Okay. Yeah.
nutshell, if you look at in the introductory, it will go up. In the growth state, it will come down. Stability, it will
Right.
be stable. And in the decline, again, it will go up.
Right.
But
Okay.
when we apply the target costing, we apply the overall average cost over the life period. Taking those high, low prices all together, we apply the target costing.
Okay. Fine. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Otherwise, what happens is, because if you apply at the introductory stage, the cost will be very high, and you might
Uh-huh.
never achieve the target cost. But
Okay.
the overall picture, it can happen. Now in a film, although it may not have that traditional kind of thing, but when the film goes for viewing or when the film goes for screening, at the very beginning, there will be many people wanting to watch the film.
Right.
And after some time, you might find the people have lost interest or people have watched the film and it will reach a decline stage very, at a particular time. Maybe after 7 weeks of viewing, the film will reach. So at that time, you have to decide what we are going to do with the film. So that may be the time you want to put up your DVDs and that kind of a scenario.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So that's basically that is what the life cycle costing is.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay. So today we missed that second part of that question on various disclosure requirements. So I thought I will look at that one today with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shall we look at the mock first of all?
Yeah.
The mock is 2 weeks have passed since you wrote to the report to Isabella. You received the following email. Jonathan has started redoing the special effects. So remember, this is now we have jumped the third one, but we will go back to the second one. Originally, the cost was 80 million, and now they wanted a further 20%. So we have spent now 96 million, and our producer who has seen the special effects is satisfied to a great extent, but still believes it is not as our original expectation. The initial research suggests that the new film will not be as success as earlier two films of the same series, and revenues are expected to be a 20% drop from the original forecast. And as said earlier, special effects will cost 20% more. So the cost of the special effects have gone up by 20%. The revenue is coming down by 20% according to the forecast, and it will end up with a huge loss. I want you to catch up the word huge loss, right?
Right.
Now, why we prepare financial statements and give it to our shareholders and other interested parties is for the purpose, the objective of the financial statement is for them to make useful economic, or rather we provide useful information for them to make economic decisions.
Okay.
That's the purpose of the financial statements, right? We show them the profit, all that, and we give them, and the accounting framework says we must give some additional disclosures. The idea is, looking at the annual report, looking at the financial statements, the shareholders can decide should they keep the shares or should they sell the shares or should they buy more shares.
Right. Yeah.
For them to make economic decision. Even the employees may want to look at the financial statements. Now a professional like you working in a company may want to see the financial statements and see should you continue to be in that company or should you leave and find another place for employment. Right? The banks also will look at from that angle. So that's the purpose of financial statements. So remember, in this company, when was financial statements were done? Financial statements as at 31st December 2016, last statement. Right. So now we are in 31st, we are in February 2017. Right? So we have no time to do any more adjustments as we are committed to show the film in USA in May 2017. So according to this one, nothing more can be done. According to this one, we are surely going to end up with a loss when we launch this film. So for the year, ended 31st December 2017, we are already in February. This film will end up with a loss. And that is going to have an impact on your financial statements. So your finance is asking, I need you to draft me a report on the accounting and disclosure implications of this film in our disclosures to the stock exchange in our first quarter performance reporting. Now, being a listed company, in most of the countries, you have to give your reporting not only on an annual basis, but on a quarterly basis. Every
Right.
quarter, you must give it to the stock exchange and to the people, the shareholders, about your company's performance. Right?
Right.
So now we are in February. So the March 2017 will be our first quarter ending. So your finance director asking, now we know it's going to be a loss in this film. What disclosure should we make?
Right.
Now you have to be very, very careful because you can't be untruthful. Neither you can disclose everything because it's going to have a big impact on your share price and all that.
Okay.
So as you can see from the attached news reports, Business Recorder, for the last month, there has been a leak into the press that creates major problems as some cinema networks for which we have signed the MOU on a profit sharing scheme has shown reluctance to stay in the show on the schedule. So
Right.
remember, the film, sometimes they sell it outright, sometimes they sell it on the basis of ticket collection, profit sharing basis
Okay.
with the cinema.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So obviously, if the cinema owners feel that the film is a unsuccessful thing, they don't want to show that film on their cinemas. Stephen is concerned that this article will not motivate the viewers to see the film. He has asked the members of the management team for our thoughts on the severity of the motivational problems and for suggestions as how they might be overcome. Please
Okay.
also address Stephen's concern in your report. So there are a couple of things we need to look at. The first thing is the accounting and disclosure implications. And second one, how to motivate
To
the
motivate.
film viewers
Right.
to watch this film. Let's look at what is this our article about the film.
Right.
So this has come up in your daily article, Business Recorder. Dinosaur crash, success in doubt, a question mark. Right? So many senior management have denied rumors that their long-awaited very first 4D film is going to crash through some issues with special effects. Anton Chan, their distribution director, commented that the new film is ready for launch on the due date in May 2017, and it will be a success even better than the two films of the series.
Right. Yeah.
In the meantime, rival film producers have been arguing that the film has undergone many changes in special effects and it will not be a box office hit when released. Film viewers are unlikely to patronize the film as per their rivals the way the other two films were patronized.
Okay.
Can you see? Right? Now you can see there are a couple of things, even though the examiner has not asked as a part of the question. One thing is our Anton Can's comments to the paper. If he has commented,
Right.
the
Yeah.
papers also sometimes they can distort, they can manufacture articles and say. But if he has commented saying that the film is ready for launch and that it is going to be a success even better than the other two films, it's an outright lie.
Right. Yeah, it is.
You are misleading the public, you are misleading the shareholders, and it's outright lie. And ethically, it's not right for you to do that kind of thing because SIMA Code of Ethics talks about integrity, and therefore it's not part of this question, but that's another question that could have come up on this one.
Right.
That is, if Anton Chan has said. If Anton Chan has not said, then of course he may have to, then you have to decide whether we should deny it or whether we should just keep quiet also.
Right.
That could have been another question on this whole area. Should we deny it or should we just keep quiet if he has not made a statement like that? Now, just keeping quiet is also not right because, the paper says it's going to be a success and all that. And if Anton has not told, Anton should go and tell, I did not make a statement like this to the press.
Right.
He must get the Business Recorder to correct it immediately.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it. Then, of course, we can see surely with this kind of article coming up, when the film is about to be launched, it's not very good news for anyone for that matter.
Right. Yeah.
So this is basically your task that we have. So what I want to look at first thing is about the accounting implications. Now, normally when they talk about the accounting implications, generally, you know, as I said, it's a huge loss. So the question that we have in our hand, should we make a provision in our financial statements for the quarter ending 31st March 2017, a loss that we are going to incur, estimated loss we are going to incur, should we make a provision? This is the question what he is asking. In other words, right? Even though it's not very direct, that is what the accounting implications are. Now this is where the case study is a little bit difficult. From our normal traditional questions, we know exactly what he's asking. But here, it's not very direct. We need to crack our brains and find out what is our Isabella asking from me. She's asking about the accounting implications. And remember this SEMA examiners and word and, it has a very big meaning. Here in this first part, you can see accounting and disclosure implications.
Okay.
So there are two implications he is asking. About the accounting implication, about the disclosure implication.
Right.
So always remember when the SEMA examiner says put a and, remember there are two parts to that question. Because most of the time we might remember only the accounting and write and forget about it. But there's another part to that one. So shall we discuss about the accounting implication? So the question is, should we provide in our financial statements for the future loss? What do you think?
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, we need to provide, because it would be obviously you need to provide for that.
And now there only we have to go, you know, for this accounting standards. So the particular standard that is dealing with these provisions is what we call IAS 37.
Yeah.
And so I will share these slides with you. I want you to take this this part of it very seriously. This is the real relevant standard for the real accounting technical requirement for provision. So let's go through this one. I just want to just summarize it. What is a provision? Right? So you thought that we also think that a provision should be made. So provision is a liability of an uncertain amount or timing. That is what we call a provision. Provision means we don't know the real exact amount, and we don't know when we have to pay. That's what we call a provision. So I want you to note down that the yellow color thing, liability. Now the second question is, what is a liability? Liability is a present obligation of the entity arising from past events.
Okay.
Now I want you to look at these two sentences and see whether we should provide. Liability is a present obligation. Now the loss, what we are going to incur once the film is launched, it is not a present obligation.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Present obligation means today you have obligation. You have bought some goods from me and you have to pay some money. That's a liability.
Right.
Right? That you will show it, because if you know the amount, it's definitely a liability, a non-current liability or a current liability. If you have bought goods from me, you know I will invoice to you 100,000. You have to pay. It's a present obligation. How did it arise? It arose due to some past events. Right? So that's what we call a liability. But it becomes a provision when you don't know the amount or the timing. Now, if you know that you have to pay me in 3 months' time 100,000, if I have invoice, there is no uncertainty about the amount. There is no uncertainty about the timing. There is a present obligation because you have obtained some goods or services and you have to pay me. It's not a provision. You need to account for it.
Right.
Right? A provision is a liability, that's a present obligation where the amount is uncertain. So now I'm going to come out with to recognize a provision, what are the ingredients that you should have. So whenever we want to recognize a provision, these key ingredients should be there. It must have a present obligation, legal or constructive as a result of a past event. Now you have in the film, you have signed a contract with a particular actor to act in the film. Right? A particular actor to act in the film. So there is a legal agreement and you have signed it. So when he provides his services of acting, you are under legal obligation to pay that particular actor whatever they want. That's a liability.
Right.
Then what is a constructive liability? Constructive liability is not a legal obligation, but through practices and past thing, you have shown that you have assumed a liability for that kind of a thing. Now, for example, you are working in a company. There is no particular legal requirement saying when a person meets with a, some sickness or illness, that the company will pay the hospital bills. There is no legal obligation. The company is under legal obligation to pay the salaries, but the company is not under obligation to pay the hospital expenses when you are sick, unless there is something in the legal agreement, right? But the company in the past, for all the employees who has had sicknesses, the company had been paying the hospital bills. So that's from the past practice it is coming up, and that's what we call a constructive obligation.
Right.
So the obligations can fall into two categories. One, a legal obligation. Second one, a constructive obligation. Now in the film obviously we have a legal obligation because we sign agreements with the cars, we have to pay them. But there may be certain constructive obligations arising. Maybe if an actor gets injured while acting in the film, that your company in the past has paid all the full medical expenses, hospital expenses. Even flying them to Singapore or wherever other country where there's better medical facilities. So that's a constructive obligation. You can't deny it because you have done it in the past, and the actor who is acting in the film will expect, if something happens to me, that the company will pay, will bear the expenditure. Right? So it's a present. So first of all, for a provision to happen, there must be a present obligation. Second one, it is probable that an outflow of the resources will be required to settle the obligation. Probable means there is a more than 50% chance that we have to pay. So this is where the legal opinion may come. Say for example, one of the actors may file action against you all, against the maintain, or one of the studios, one of the some copywriter may file action against you because you have taken the script without his permission and created a film. So there is a case in there, and the lawyers might say there's a more than 50% probability that the company will be liable to pay. In that case, you have to make a provision. But if the lawyers say there is no chance that we will lose the case, it's only about 10% chance we will lose the case, then you don't need to make a provision. The third one, reliable estimate can be made of the amount or the obligation. Even though the amount is uncertain, a reliable estimate can be made. I mean, when I say reliable estimate, the lawyers might say the judge might order you to pay 100,000, around 100,000. So then you have to make a provision only for 100,000, not 1 million. But if you don't know, how much the court will avoid, then you can't make a provision. So this is what it is. So these are the three conditions that need to be met. All the above conditions must be met to make a provision. So now you will agree with me. Future losses is not a present obligation, and therefore we don't need to make any provision in our financial state.
Okay.
So legal or constructive. Constructive is legal. All these things I just put it up. So probable outflow and reliable must be considered to be more likely than not. That means more than a 50% likely. So this is what, so IS 37 goes to great extent to say which reliable estimate cannot be made. Estimate should be the best estimate, prudent estimate, discounted when time value of money is material. Right?
Okay.
If you are going to pay it in 3 years, 6 years time, then you have to discount that liability to the today's present value and provide it.
Okay.
This is the condition which I want you to look at. IS 37 on specific application, future operating losses. Provisions cannot be made for future operating losses because there is no obligation and it is an expectation.
Okay.
This is the condition that we will apply and say, according to IS 37, provision need not be made for future operating losses because the film is not yet even screened. So it is only an expectation, and therefore you don't need to provide.
Okay.
But having said that one, so I will share these slides with you. These are very good slides. You can go to these things and later on ask me questions. Having said that one, even as you rightly said, although there is no need for a provision, you need to disclose it. Disclose
Okay.
it by way of a note. Legal,
Right.
the accounting standard does not permit you to make a provision because it's not a present obligation. And very specifically, IS 37 says future operating losses should not be made a provision.
Got it. Yeah.
But having said that one, because we are going to end up with a huge loss, and if the loss can be measured to a greater extent, we must quantify the amount and say as a note to the financial statements that the film is going to end up with a loss due to these reasons, whatever. Or otherwise, even if you can't quantify the loss, we must say it is going to end up with a significant loss.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what we need to record.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That is what we need to record. So basically, simply you have to look at this particular scenario and mention that one. So probably you again want to, show your disappointment with this whole scenario, what has happened. And because the first two films have been very, very great, and the third film is going to create certain issues, even though it is not mentioned anything about Anton Chan and the press report examiner is not asking, but you being a CIMA student, you being a CIMA professional, you must mention in a very polite way, in a nicer way, you must mention that I believe if Anton Chan has made a statement to the press like this, we need to make a correction to the press, as a ethically responsible organization.
Okay.
Because it is unethical for us to say so. One might argue it and say in the board, we are committing suicide because we are putting it in advance as things that is going to happen in the later.
Okay.
But that's what we are expected as professionals, as ethical people.
Right.
To make the disclosures and to say, of course, you can always mitigate by saying the board of directors are fully aware and we are taking all possible actions to ensure that our losses will get minimized. Something like that. You can always, you are not going to just open for the loss and just wait. You will be looking to do many things and you can always talk about those things.
Okay.
So that's the first part of that question that you probably want to look at the answer.
Yeah.
Now, the second part of it, right? Stephen, and of course, you may be another worry for you is leak in information. Right? That means there is some thing happening inside the company. Where the something is happening where inside information is getting leaked to the press. Not a good thing.
Right.
Which is not a good thing. So you may want to talk about that also to some extent, say because you're concerned that inside information has got leaked out to the press, and that also it need to be sort of attended, because you can't just ignore this kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to. This is where our people skills, our business skills will come up, because you being people skills, particularly you being a person of senior management, will be very much concerned anything that is happening to the company.
Right.
So this is basically the first part of that question, how you will answer.
Okay.
Let's look at the second one, right? As you can see, of course, the article looks very nasty. This can create major problems. Some cinemas have already sort of signed an MOU and have shown reluctance. Stephen is concerned. He has asked the members of the management team for our thoughts on the severity of the motivational problems and for suggestions as to how they might be overcome. So again, here we see two sections. One, how severe is the motivational problem.
Okay.
Secondly, what ways can we overcome this one?
Right.
So obviously, I think there is no doubt it is a very severe attack on our field, right? Because it has just come up just 3 months before the thing. We know there is a lot of problems with the field, and for the press to come out can demotivate people who want to go and watch the film.
Okay.
And as the article says, as we say, we see a 20% drop in revenue. So surely it's a big motivational problem that we are going to face.
Right.
Question is, how can we sort of overcome this scenario?
Okay.
What are the ideas that you have, Veena? What can we do? We know our film is, media is attacking. Film is not really of good quality. But what can we do to get it into a better shape, this whole film? You have to remember, we have still 3 more months time. We are, business people are never give up kind of attitude. We are not going to open the mouth and expect a loss to happen. Business people will always take a challenge, try to do something. You remember now, since you know the third part, some man got together and wanted to get some other special effects company and still do something, spending more. That came up in the third section, which we will not see before we do the second section. But now with that advantage also, you can think of how to motivate the people. You have to understand, you have seen this paper in the morning. Right? You have seen this paper in this morning. What can we tell the public? Now the public is going to see this and they are going to discuss. Your friends are going to discuss, hey Veena, that this Dinosaur Crush is a useless film. Let's not waste our time wanting to go and watch that film. So the people in the organization need to do something to counterattack. You have to counterattack, but truthfully. You can't say lies.
Right.
So take the challenge. Tell the press we are reviewing the film, and we will make extra effort, special effort to ensure that the viewers expectations are not
Met.
disappointed, something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And when you say that one, you can't just say that one and just wait. We must. This is where your business skills will come up. Your people skills will come up. Your leadership skills will come up. You can't just stay and wait. Now I can remember there was a case study earlier where, in a situation like this, the company went to town and said they are going to do this, that and the other, but they did not do anything. Now that's not very
Okay.
good. That's not very good. We must say, but as business people, we are not going to give up. We will try to see whether we can do it. So we have a lot of people in the non-executive directors in the board who have a lot of connections with the film industry. So use their influence and see whether we can get additional special effects. Now, of course, we have a little bit of advantage. We saw the third part, but assuming we are not seeing the third part, still that we will apply it.
Yeah. Okay.
We
Right.
will apply. Because we have to remember in our board of directors, we have some very specialized people, the people who have been in the film industry. So why don't we
Right.
call up a board meeting, right? Discuss this matter, get their influence to get some quality people to do special effects again, even at a cost, and to do a better film.
Okay. Yeah.
And to make it in advance. Yes, we have gone through problems.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone goes through problems, but we are not going to live with the problems. We will assure that we will take the board of directors will take every possible action to produce a film that is of high quality and will not disappoint the viewers.
Right. Right. Right.
You buy time.
Yeah.
You buy time. You buy time. And if you can't do it in May, you will postpone it. But you must make the market sure that the market will not get disappointed when the product is launched.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So
Okay.
that way we can motivate as an initial response. Secondly, we might want to increase the advertising budget and make more effective advertisements, even encouraging people with certain incentives, concessions to go and watch the film. I've seen some of these films when they come up, they will say buy one, other one free or something like that, or one buy, couple free kind of a situation. Right? Make some special efforts with consultants, or to do that, we must consult a good marketing consultant, advertising agency, and come out with something unique where we can make this film a very special film.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is what the people are expecting. You are never a person who will just bow down and say, oh, we are going to end up with a loss, there's nothing we can do, that's not the business strategy. That's not the business way. The business way is never give up.
Yeah.
Never give up. Go fighting. Go fighting and go down. It's all right. But never give up. But of course, we have to be very, very conscious we are not going to lie. If we say we are going to do, we must do it. So you as a responsible person, this is where your leadership skills will be tested. You will say, summon a board meeting, right? Convene a board meeting, discuss this with our non-executive directors also, get their ideas also, and see whether we can do anything additional special effects. Consult a advertising agency, marketing consultant firm, do a research on the viewers about their expectations and whether they will watch the film even after this business recorded. Right? So that's the kind of a thing. So of course, finally, you might want to say it will be counterproductive to be silent. Now, most of the time, people think when this kind of article comes up, just keep quiet.
Right.
Just keep quiet. Don't do anything. Just let them do anything. We are not going to talk about it. We will just keep quiet. But that's not the way we should go. It's a serious problem and we need to
Right.
counter it. We need to be fully aware that our competitors will take up this matter further and will try to attack us. So we have to have a strategy to counter attack the competitors.
Okay.
That's the way to go forward with this question.
Okay. Right.
So you have to be a very positive motivator. People can become very down in life in this kind of a scenario. But you, with our CIMA background, we are going to be very positive motivators. That's why we are called CIMA qualified people.
Right.
So this is what I will answer for that one.
Okay.
I have a little bit of free time. Any questions you have, Veena?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Basically, like if in that the third case study wherein I was given a task wherein I have to do a target costing, right?
Yeah.
Do I need to suggest measures to the there was a question that we can negotiate with how is the Plate, right?
Yeah.
Regarding the redoing the special effects, right?
Yes. Yes.
So can I suggest some measures like if Jonathan's is not doing your special effects properly, we might consider Plate as our main outsource company. We can do it, right?
Sure.
Yes.
You have to always think short term. You have to think medium term, and you might even have to think long term also, because you are learning lessons from this one. Because all this time already we are done with Jonathan's all the special effects, but we have seen a kind of a failure, particularly in the 4D area. It may be good for us to think of long term strategy of changing our special effects team and getting some outside others to do it.
Right. Okay. And also, like, if there was another question as well for Be Connected, like we can talk to them and try to reduce cost.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what money they are spending on advertising, like on what channels. Like some money has been spent on television, some money has been spent on newspaper advertising, right?
Yeah.
Right. So can we also suggest measures to them that if you are spending this particular amount on television, do not spend that amount, but you can spend on alternative channels of advertising.
This is where the functional analysis can come. And you can talk about the functions of various channels and to see the effectiveness of various channels of advertising, and whether we can reduce some of those channels, the functions, without compromising the quality, what is expected of the whole thing.
Okay, fine. I know the answer, but I wasn't sure how do I, how can I go about it, because obviously it's a new experience for me as well.
I know.
So yeah.
You can always do that, but it's good so long as you have time. You have to now the management of time is one of the problems that we have in the exam. So we have to see how we manage the time. So as I said, a 45-minute question, 15 minutes we must take to draw the plan. So what we will do is we will put it up in bullet forms, what my points, and on the 15 minutes I will read and plan my answer. Right. And the last 5 minutes I will always keep it for a kind of summarizing and to see whether I have done the proper things. So 20 minutes you have to keep, 15 minutes keep just for reading and planning. Last 5 minutes, so we are left with another 25 minutes to attack the 1, 2, 3, 4 tasks. So in this case we have 2 tasks, so we will try to equally divide the time and to spend only 12 minutes on the first task. Even if I know I can write for 20 minutes, I will stop it at the 12th minute and start writing on the second task.
Okay.
Second task, when I start writing, I might find I don't have things to write for 12 minutes. I might have only 8 minutes to write. Then I'm left over with 4 minutes. I can go back because still the computer screen is on. It's a Word document. So you can always go and cut and paste and do whatever. And you can go back to the first task and write it.
Okay.
Remember, within the 45 minutes, you can do anything. but the 46th minute, that is gone. After that, you can't do anything with that particular section.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
So
Okay.
this is what is happening always. So you have to be mindful that the timing. So certain tasks I saw, they have given about 4 tasks. In that case,
Okay.
it will be for the 20 minutes gone, 25 minutes need to be split between 4 tasks.
Yeah.
So depending on the task, you will split it, but you will keep a kind of a time watch on you and see that you don't overwrite on a particular task, because however much you write, there is a maximum marks you can get. So
Okay.
if you write on one thing 20 minutes and on the other thing you don't have anything to write, or you have no time to write, you will lose a lot of marks. But if
Oh
you
yeah.
write
Yeah.
in both tasks at least half, at least you will get 50% marks.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's what the time management is very important. So in my next lesson, what I'm going to do is I prepare some slides on the management case study, the exam. I will take about 10-15 minutes next time. On this case study, I just done some slides for all of you all about the role as finance manager, skills needed, competency skills, all that. So we will go to this one also next time when I meet you. Before we start on, so I want you to know what is technical skills, what is business skills, all that, so that we will be really ready for that one.
Okay. Sure. Right.
Now we are in January 7. So if you're all right, we can even do more lessons for a week, or otherwise we can just stick to one lesson, whatever the way it's all right by you, because from now onwards it will be continuously looking at various topics, looking at the various marks. So we have done 1, 2, 3, 45 sections, I think now. Yeah, we have done 345 sections now. One was on the risk. Second one today, what we did, it was all about the disclosures. Third one we did about target costing. And project management, I think, came in one of those. So we will be looking more mocks from now onwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So is it fine, like, if we do on both days, like Saturday and Sunday, because
yeah, we can. I think, yeah, because if you are ready, I can do most of the days, Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, say during
because
this.
I have, my baby's timetable is not particular, so
Okay.
she
Yeah.
yeah.
So generally, we can go by week, Veena, because we don't need to sort of make it. But next week, I'm all right for both the Saturday and Sunday same time.
11 o'clock?
11 o'clock, yeah. Both the Saturday 14th and Sunday 15th, I'm free. Sunday 15th, yes, I'm free, I think, on both days at the same time,
Yeah. Right. So what we can do is, my mother-in-law is coming from 25th of January.
Okay.
So after that, we can have a continuous sessions, like more sessions. But because she'll be taking care of the baby, so I didn't have any problems with it. Yeah.
Yeah, right,
So
okay.
it's only till 24th I have this problem.
Right, okay, don't worry. Yeah, so I mean, that's what I said. It's depending on your convenience. We can always make it. We can say for the moment we can go on Saturday or Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday, and whatever the way you want it. I mean, we don't need to fix up a very long timetable. We can fix it whenever you are free, whenever I'm free. I can always work it for you.
Sure. Okay, fine.
So what shall we do this week? You want to do it only Saturday, or want to do only Sunday? What do you want to do?
No, we can do both the days. I'm fine with it.
So I'll keep both the days marked for you. Anyway, we'll meet on Saturday. We will see how it is, and we'll try to work it through 14th and 15th. I'll keep both the days at 11 o'clock for you.
Sure.
Okay, Veena. Right. So I'll see you on Saturday 14th, same time.
Right, Kumar. Okay. Have a nice day, Kumar.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.